Welcome to the Digital How-To series. Today I'm going to explain all about the Google Merchant Center. Firstly, just to give this some context, what is the Merchant Center and what purpose does it serve? So you'll see here, if I do a search for double bed, at the top of Google you have what are called shopping ads and even a shopping section. So these ads here require a product feed that lives in the Google Merchant Center, which needs to connect to your Google Ads account in order for these products to show as these ads in the Google search results or in the Google shopping section, where you can do more filtering as a user between prices and types of bed as an example. So put simply, in that same example again, so double bed, if I want my products to appear here, Google needs a feed of information about the products sold on our website in order to then show these ads, and obviously some of the details that it would require would be a picture of the product, a description of the product, the price, and who you are as an advertiser. I'll go into Google Shopping Ads and explain those in another Digital How-To series, but the purpose of this session is just to explain the Google Merchant Center, i.e. how to create the feed that enables you to run these types of ads and a few other ad types. So firstly, you would need to Google Google Merchant Center in order to create an account. Once you create an account, it's going to ask you to set up a whole bunch of information regarding your business. So as an example, it's going to ask you what your shipping services are, what your return policy might be. It's going to ask you about your brand to then say, okay, well, what sales tax applies in your region that you're advertising, and then critically some core business information, so your contact information, email addresses, website details, branding details, pretty much all of it's self-explanatory and will guide you through when you're going through the setup. The bit that's absolutely key is making sure that there is a feed and the ability to pull that information into the Merchant Center. So you will see here, if I come out of the business information section, it has like a dashboard which tells you if your feed has items in it. So in this case we can see there's 1,700 active items and some stuff that's been disapproved, which I'll get to just now. But let's just start with the product section. So the first part is to create a feed. So you have a couple of options here. Google actually has the ability for you to create a feed based on Google actually crawling and understanding your website. So just as an example, I could just then say I want to create a Google sheet with the information contained within the spreadsheet. For example, the image URL, the price, the product description, etc. You can upload a feed or you can schedule a feed. In this case, and in most cases, we can actually build a feed that you then tell Google to go and fetch. So as an example, in this one, we've got this feed here. If we just click on that, it's going to tell us when it goes to fetch it and process it. So you can set at what time of day you want it to go and get the feed. And then it also gives you the ability to define currencies and fetch frequency. And critically, you can create rules to say include or exclude different parameters based on the information within that feed. But the most important part here is to actually show you where that feed is located. So you can see here we've got a feed which is 1.4 megabytes in size, and it fetches it daily at 2 AM. And then critically, where is that feed located? So typically these feeds are preferred in an XML format. So if I just paste that file in here and just open up that XML, just wait for it to download. Let's just put it in an XML viewer. So now you can see here we've got an XML file. Just to keep it really simple, what it's doing here is saying, okay, we've got an item which has an ID of X. This is the title of the product. This is the description of the product. This is a link to where the destination URL is, i.e. where to find that product. This is the JPEG, i.e. the picture of the image, and then it will kind of say, okay, well, what condition is it? Well, it's new. Is it in stock? It's either in stock or out of stock. What's its price? And you get the idea. It's literally just an Excel list, but in this case in XML format, telling Google exactly where the information is of all the products that are contained on your website. If you're using WordPress or Shopify, you'll probably find that there's a plugin that you can download that enables a feed to be created automatically from your WooCommerce, for example, in WordPress, or from your Shopify site. So the hard work of creating this feed is sometimes taken care of by a plugin. My suggestion would be that you search for a Google Shopping Feed plugin for whatever platform you're looking for first. It's quite likely that that will output a file like the one I've just shown you, and then when you create your Google Merchant Center account, you just define where that file is and when to go fetch it. In terms of diagnostics, it's going to tell you when stuff's been approved or disapproved. Let's just click on disapproved and just check out why. It could be a variety of reasons. So the image might be too small, so therefore Google's not going to show that ad because it's a bad user experience. It could be that the landing page is broken, or there could be a policy violation, i.e. maybe trying to advertise for a prohibited substance that's against the Google ad policy. Generally speaking, as long as 80% of your feed is healthy, then you don't need to worry too much. There's always going to be broken items, but it's always cool to come into the disapproved items and just check why something's disapproved. And it's sometimes going to tell you where there's actually an issue on a landing page that needs fixing anyway. So that's how you set up the feed. Pretty much my advice would be just create the Google Merchant Center account, go through the guided steps, but then critically look for a plugin that links into Shopify, WordPress, WooCommerce, whatever it is that you use to store your product inventory, and then use that plugin to create the feed, then tell the Merchant Center where that feed is and how frequently to go and get it. So once that Merchant Center is created and products are approved, what you then need to do is to go into your advertising account, in this case obviously Google Ads, and then look for the setup section where you've got this section called linked accounts. You need to link your Merchant Center account to your Google account. When you scroll down in this section, you'll see by default link to Google Merchant Center. Just click on that one, and then it's going to ask you to add a new link. In this case I've already got one created, but pretty much it's just going to ask you to verify which account to link to, and it'll send a request to your Merchant Center where you can just go in and approve that linking in the notifications section. Once Google Ads is connected to the Merchant Center, it's then a case of creating campaigns, but Google Ads will automatically know where your feed is coming from the Merchant Center. So as just a quick example, if I then create a shopping campaign, so let's go for sales and let's go for shopping, it's automatically then looking for that link to the Merchant Center. And then as always, we've got this choice of either a smart campaign where Google does all of its self-optimization, or a standard shopping campaign. In most cases it's better to go for smart. The Google machine is better at optimizing than you would be manually in most cases. So then we just hit continue. It's now linked to that feed. You give that campaign a name, so let's call it shopping, smart shopping. It then asks you how you want to achieve your goals, so either a campaign level or account level acquisition value. You can set a target return on ad spend if you wish to, if you know what it should be. If it doesn't, then don't worry, it'll run anyway and gather data. You then need to put in how much you're prepared to spend per day. Save and continue. It's then going to ask you if you want to use all of the products in the feed, or you then potentially have the ability to subdivide into different product types. So that's the Google Merchant Center explained, and pretty much creating campaigns is a case of going through the guided steps on the Google Ads platform. It'll automatically pick up your Merchant Center product feed, and then you can create either shopping campaigns or dynamic display campaigns that then use that product inventory to serve people relevant ads.